Encouraging productive allyship in organizations. Abstract. The concept of allyship has become increasingly central to organizational diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, with allies defined as individuals who leverage their privilege and power to advocate for marginalized groups to which they do not belong. Despite good intentions, allyship can potentially cause harm without proper guidance and structure. This article presents a comprehensive framework for nurturing effective allyship within organizations through 3 interconnected approaches: education that provides allies with foundational knowledge about privilege dynamics, microaggressions, and intersectionality. Clear expectations that delineate specific behaviors from inclusive language use to policy advocacy, and empowerment strategies that enable meaningful action through resource group connections, mentoring opportunities, and recognition programs. Case studies from Johnson Johnson and Deloitte illustrate successful implementation of these approaches, demonstrating how structured ally development not only supports marginalized communities but also enhances organizational culture and competitiveness by transforming well-intentioned supporters into knowledgeable, accountable change agents who contribute meaningfully to creating more inclusive workplaces. Allyship has emerged as an important topic of discussion in organizations seeking to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. As organizations become more inclusive of individuals from varying backgrounds, the need for allies has grown. Allies are individuals who use their privilege and position of power to advocate for and support marginalized groups they are not a member of. Westover et al. 2020. While allyship is often well-intentioned, allies can potentially do more harm than good if not properly educated on the issues and coached on effective ally behaviors. Today we will explore how organizations can purposefully encourage productive allyship through education, expectations, and empowerment. Defining allyship before discussing how to encourage allyship. It is important to define what allyship means. Research provides useful frameworks for understanding allyship. Edwards, 2006, defines allies as members of dominant social groups, e.g., men, whites, heterosexuals, who are working to end the system of oppression that gives them greater privilege and power based on those social identities. Another helpful framework views allyship as existing on a spectrum, with aware allies demonstrating basic awareness and understanding to active allies who consistently use their privilege for advocacy. Broido, 2000. Washington and Evans, 1991. Productive allyship moves beyond awareness to action. Educating allies. The first step for organizations is to provide education to help individuals understand what allyship means, assess their current level of understanding as an aware or active ally, and identify specific actions they can take. Training programs are vital for equipping potential allies with knowledge about different forms of oppression, bias, privilege, and the experiences of marginalized groups. Broido, 2000. Washington and Evans, 1991. Education should cover intersectionality and how marginalized identities intersect, microaggressions, bias, and discrimination marginalized groups face, privilege and power dynamics allies have based on social identities, active listening and validating experiences different than one's own, calling out bias and inappropriate behavior constructively, amplifying marginalized voices and perspectives. Providing this foundation helps allies understand issues from a knowledgeable stance rather than just intention, setting them up for productive allyship. Setting expectations. Once educated, organizations must set clear expectations for ally behavior. Expectations determine what qualifies as an active ally and signal that allyship requires ongoing work, not a single training. Management can establish expectations such as consistently using inclusive and respectful language, participating in further ally trainings, reading, and self-education, holding peers accountable by constructively addressing bias. amplifying marginalized voices and supporting networking. Advocating for inclusive policies, practices, and representation. Considering diversity, equity, and inclusion in decision-making. With expectations established, organizations can provide accountability and acknowledgement for meeting them. This ensures allies sustain productive behaviors over time rather than seeing allyship as a one-time commitment. Empowering and supporting ally action even with education and expectations. Allies need empowerment to take effective action. Organizations can empower allies by providing opportunities for allies to strategize actions to take. Connecting allies with employee resource groups for support. Designating specific diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives for ally involvement. Recognizing and celebrating ally accomplishments. Encouraging mentoring relationships between allies and marginalized individuals. Sponsoring further conferences, workshops, or reading for development. Addressing barriers such as fear of saying the wrong thing. This empowerment reduces limitations allies may feel and positions them for impact. It incentivizes continued ally commitment and skill building over time. Case studies of ally encouragement. The following case studies demonstrate how specific organizations have purposefully encouraged productive allyship. Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson focuses heavily on inclusion and encourages global allyship. The organization provides mandatory unconscious bias and inclusive leadership training for all managers. They also sponsor networking events where allies are connected to employee resource groups for support and action planning. Each year, allies commit to sponsoring at least one inclusion initiative and receive recognition at company meetings for their work. Through these initiatives, Johnson & Johnson has seen an increase in reporting discrimination and greater retention of underrepresented groups. Deloitte. At Deloitte, ally committees partner with employee resource groups. Committees receive education on pressing issues and work with ergs to plan community service projects. Host conferences for skill building and review HR policies for inclusiveness. Leaders recognize Ally of the Month for inclusive behavior role modeling. Deloitte also hosts monthly open forums where allies provide support and voice for issues raised. Their holistic and community-driven approach resonates with employees and positively impacts recruitment of diverse candidates. Conclusion: as organizations aim to create truly inclusive work cultures, the encouragement of productive allyship proves vital. While allyship intentions may start internally motivated, impactful allyship requires ongoing external support through education, standards of action, and empowerment from organizations. The case studies demonstrate allyship encouragement can effectively promote diversity, equity, and inclusion when approached strategically and as a long-term commitment. By understanding allies as assets requiring cultivation, organizations position themselves to maximally benefit from the privilege and influence allies possess. Overall, purposeful ally encouragement serves not only marginalized groups but organizational success, competitiveness, and culture. Today we outlined how organizations can encourage productive allyship through educating allies on oppression and privilege dynamics, setting clear expectations for inclusive behaviors, and empowering allies to take strategic action through initiatives, recognition, and relationship building. The case studies provided examples of how specific companies holistically support allyship involvement. Purposeful ally encouragement proves key to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in organizations seeking to promote an empowering environment for all.